I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holidays, or maybe to live here permanently, or if you're wondering how is life comparing in Europe compared with the United States, then you are at the right channel, because in the channel I take a look at and react to videos about life and living in the US versus life and living in Europe, or specifically the Netherlands. And for today, we're going to take a look at the video of Dutch Life Diaries. So we're going to start with subscribe and a like. 5 American habits we ditched after moving to the Netherlands. I wonder what they ditched and why they ditched it. Yeah. And if you like this kind of content, and if you like reaction videos, then maybe it's a good idea to hit the subscribe button. It will really help me to get to the first 1,000 subscribers. We're still trying to get to the first 1,000 and make this content more available for other people also to watch and to learn about life and living in Europe, or life and living in the United States. So let's take a look at what this lovely couple has to tell us about the habits they ditched.
The quality of life is not set by the quantity of money that you have.
Oh, I wanted to react to it, but okay.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Culture Shock Talk. And today we're going to be talking
Culture Shock Talk, okay?
about the 5 American habits that we've kind of gotten rid of since living in the Netherlands. So
before we start, I'm just going to let you know I've been sick for the past couple of days, so my voice is a little off. So anyway.
there's more than that that's a little off about him. So the first
Okay.
one we're going to talk about is using credit cards. And in the U.S., credit cards are highly encouraged. It's kind of crazy just how much they're part of culture. Not really for the good, but more for the bad.
It's a lot of people in trouble.
Yeah, because credit cards, a lot of people, they're going paycheck to paycheck, so they end up using credit cards even just to get groceries, that kind of thing. But the annual percentage rate on those is skyrocketing. You end up stuck in this cycle where your monthly payment doesn't chip anything off of your balance. They're just paying interest.
Yeah.
And it's a really bad habit.
Yeah, that's the strangest part, that at a certain point you pay more in interest than getting rid of your debt. It's a never-ending pit at that point. Somebody has to realize that this is not the way that it should be done. But yeah, okay. Which will say that we in the Netherlands do have credit cards and we use credit cards, but the interest rates are hardly there, and you only pay interest after you haven't paid your bill in the first month after you are being billed. So if you have to pay at a certain date, let's say 200 euros that you use of your credit card, and within 2 weeks you pay those 200 euros, it's done, it's gone. But if you wait, then it will become more. Of course, then you need to pay 200, let's say 210. And that's a lot. It's 5% interest. So, yeah, we use credit cards, but in a much different way than it's been done in the United States.
Coming here, we held on to our credit cards in case of emergency, but then we started to adopt more of a Dutch sensibility, which is we don't buy anything if we have to put it on credit. A lot of places don't even take credit cards. They'll only take debit card. Like if you go to an Albert Heijn grocery store, for instance, you can't use a credit card for your groceries there.
Yes, you can. She's wrong. You can use your credit cards in Albert Heijn or other grocery stores. Pay attention, grocery stores. But not all types of credit cards, but there are credit cards, European kinds, that you can use in grocery stores. But some American credit cards are unknown to European, and you can't use those. But it's not necessary. It's advisable to have a debit card, but it's not necessary to have a debit card. Oh, what's going on? Play.
Whereas in the US, places like Walmart, not only do they take credit cards, but they do financing now. So there's something called Klarna, where you can make monthly payments to pay off your groceries.
Yeah, and it's really a
Okay.
trap, and it's one that you really can't get yourself out of over a period of time, and then they get you because it's very, very hard to climb out of that ditch once you've fallen into it. Over here, you don't really have that problem.
Yeah, but I believe that in the United States you can declare yourself bankrupt. I don't know what it means to declare yourself bankrupt, but I think that's I think that I hear that it's possible in the United States. I don't have any idea what it means financially to declare yourself bankrupt. But yeah, working in this way with credit cards, and you can never get rid of your debt because of the interest rates. Yeah, that's very bad. Then you never should use a credit card in the United States. But yeah, you cannot live without a credit card in the United States. Everything is on credit. So it makes everything more expensive than it already is, because you not only pay the price, the bigger price of the grocery, but later on also the interest rate of that price. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. You fall in and you never get out of it. It's the most craziest thing that I've ever heard. Is this credit card, and then a credit card score is also a thing. It's crazy. We don't have those kinds of credit cards, scores, and interest rates over here in Europe. Not specifically the Netherlands, in Europe. We don't have this kind of crap.
Yeah, and not having credit cards has kind of changed our perspective on how we spend money too. It was like this expectation that if you went and gave a token to someone, it had to be representative of your love for them. So therefore it had to be expensive to show just how much you love them. And now we take pleasure in the smaller things, like, a pair of socks for your birthday or a paperback or something like that. We don't go extravagant anymore. We don't feel the need to go extravagant anymore.
Back in the United States, you're basically programmed to spend as much as you possibly can, and it usually is in the hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars.
And
Wow. No, I don't know if it's true for everybody, but he's talking out of experience.
go into debt for it. You use credit cards for it because, we were living paycheck to paycheck ourselves. We didn't have a savings in the US. Here, even if we have to take it out of our food budget, we have a savings account.
Yeah.
And we don't pay for things unless we have it, period.
Yeah, and again, it's a habit structure.
The quality of life is not set by the quantity of money that you have.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the cost of life and living is lower over here in Europe than it is in the United States. So you need less money. You earn less money, but you also need less money. Yeah.
Then another thing that we got rid of is this need to constantly be in control of our physical environment, basically the weather. Yeah. So,
okay, this needs some explanation. Temperature panic. Where?
In the U.S., everyone has, or most people have, air conditioning. Yeah. Offices have air conditioning, and they have air conditioning here too, but people at home don't really. So one of the things
I have, but a lot of people don't have air conditioning at home. But there are also a lot of people. If I'm thinking about my street right here where I'm living, both my neighbors have air conditioning, and both my neighbors have solar panels. So the solar panels feeding the air conditioning, and that is cheaper than the heating gas. So warming your house and cooling your house with air conditioning is better than it is than using the gas, the heating gas. Yeah.
Is like air conditioning and heat. Here it's much more about put a sweater on if you're cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gas prices are higher here, so you don't try to, like we have a game every year holding off turning on the gas as long as possible. It's very...
Yeah, look at me. I'm wearing a sweater now. It's not cold, but I don't need to heat up. The airco is on, and the airco is blue, so it's actually cooling in the house for now. And I'm wearing a sweater, and I'm having it warm, but it's good.
expensive for us. And so you want to try to keep your costs down, but also, why can't you put a sweater on? When I was a kid growing up in the 70s in the US, gas was very expensive then too, and we had a very cold, drafty house, old house, and you know, we had electric blankets, we wore sweaters, we wore slippers.
Yeah. We have a lot of comforters here, so we're perfectly fine with not turning the heat up. That's our little...
We have a cat going crazy.
Yeah. He talks to his ball, so he starts
he's playing with his ball, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so we don't need to crank the heat, and matter of fact, it's just not economically sound to do that. So we try and hold off as much as possible as far as doing that. Winter...
Yeah, it's not economically, but it's also, and that's different over here. I don't know how it is. I don't know, not everybody, but a lot of people do. We don't do this because of the environment. So it's environmentally friendly not to do this. It's not only cost effective, but also environmentally friendly. And that's why we do it. Both reasons are connected, that the government stimulates this kind of behavior, not doing it, and then using the natural gas to heating. So it's a two-way work, but it's environmental friendly and cost effective.
Is winter, and when we would go to pubs or bars or restaurants, people would still be sitting outside. They're all wrapped up, and I'm not talking about having the heaters that you see around you. They'd be without heaters, and it's perfectly fine for them, just wrapped up nice with their scarves and gloves and enjoying the weather.
It's very cozy because these cafes also have blankets. I was surprised the first time we visited the Netherlands years ago that there were outdoor cafes in the winter. The first time we came here was in January, and they had outdoor cafes, and each chair had a blanket on it. And I thought, oh my gosh, doesn't someone go and steal the blankets? Because in the U.S., if you don't nail something down, it's going to get stolen.
Yeah, it's getting stolen over here too, but somebody's watching the terrace, the outside part of the cafe, if nobody is. Depending in which city you live, of course, but yeah, sometimes those things get stolen too.
But and why would people want to sit outside in a dreary January? We do it now. We love it.
Yeah, some people do. Depends. If there is if it is a sunny day outside and there's there's no or not much wind, then some people actually are going to take a terrace outside and have a coffee or a hot cocoa, because it's not cool drinks. Then you take something warm to drink, hot cocoa with cream, or a cup of tea like I would, or espresso or coffee. Yeah, and just enjoy a bit sun outside during the dark months of the year.
We actually love it. But yeah, so the need that we had to immediately turn the heat on as soon as it's just a tiny drops below, just a tiny bit below like 15 degrees, where, oh my gosh, got to turn the heat on and crank it up, left us. Your body naturally adapts. As the weather warms, as the weather cools, your body starts to make changes as well, and it's an easier transition. If you're constantly denying your body's chance to adjust to the weather, then you're going to get super cold, and then as soon as you step outside, you're super hot. Anytime you walk away from this control source, you suddenly feel out of control. You can't control your body temperature. You can't control your comfort.
Yeah, basically, so the Dutch resist the temptation to artificially control their comfort. It's just they're going to deal with it. So that's
Not constantly, yeah. It's not we resist, but we try as less as possible.
what we've learned to do over the past 2 years that we've been here.
And actually makes us feel healthier, happier, and more part of the seasons, honestly.
Yeah.
And
You
saves
don't
us
need it.
money. Yeah. So we now, if we go into an air-conditioned place that's blasting air conditioning, it's just, I want to leave.
Yeah, it feels unnatural.
Another habit that we shed was expecting ridiculous customer service.
Oh yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't fly over here in Europe. There is customer service, but not for every whip or whim you want. No.
What do you mean by ridiculous?
Well, like, for instance, when you write someone, like an associate or an accountant or a doctor in the U.S., especially in New York, it's kind of like what they call the New York minute. You expect a reply within the same day.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, your accountant will take a week. Your doctor will take a week unless it's an emergency. So,
Yeah, depends on which region you live. Reacting to an email to a company, usually within a couple of days, most of the time within a day. So it's not an expectation, but but what is she talking about? A doctor or something?
your doctor will take a week unless it's an emergency. So,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if there's a lot of, a week could be. In the more crowded areas, in the more crowded cities, it could take up a week. Yeah, you can see your family doctor. Yeah.
there's not this push, like I have to have someone on top of me. When we go out to cafes, we don't expect customer service shoving food and drink down our throats all the time.
Yeah, so we've learned to relax. I guess the habit is we've learned to not be so tense about getting up and out of a place. We've learned to relax a little bit.
And that also means, customer service in shops. You kind of are on your guard in the U.S. because as soon as you enter a store, they're told they have to greet you within 5 seconds of seeing you. So people will follow you around. They'll make suggestions. When you really just want to look at stuff, you don't want to be pressured to buy.
Stay away from the perfume department because they
Yeah, I just get horrible allergies if you go into a department store in the U.S. They leave you alone here. They'll say, hey, hello.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, welcome. If even that. Most of the time it's hey, or just a look, and that's it.
And that's pretty much it.
That's
You're on your own. And if they see you looking confused, then they'll say, are you trying to find something? Or
it's the art of knowing when to come in and interject in what you're doing. And if they see that you're confused, they see that you need help, they'll ask if you need help. They're not going to sit there and dog you the entire time you're in a store. So,
But it's also, the response thing that I was talking about earlier. My doctor did a referral for me, and they booked me my referral appointment 3 weeks from now. It's not, I have to be seen now or I'm going to drop dead. I'm not going to drop dead and everything's fine. So there's also this sort of attitude here, like, relax. Yeah. It's not that serious. Relax, calm down. And I like that. I didn't at first. I was like, I have to get this and I have to do this now.
And if the doctor doesn't return your call or your email, like in my case this week, they didn't get back to me right away. And I kind of remind myself to relax. Everything is fine. You just, they're going to get back to you. Just, wait, expect to wait.
They balance everything. They look at, if you're an emergency, we've had family members that had medical emergencies and they suddenly had everything organized within a day. Yeah. They understand emergencies. They also understand that what you want to get taken care of right away, if it's not an emergency, you don't need it right now. You can just chill out.
Yeah.
So another habit that we've shed is needing to immediately fix everything with medication or
Needing a medical fix. Sounds weird.
attention. In the U.S., there's a pill for everything, and they also feel
There's a pill for everything? I know, it's not, but...
feel like you might rank them lower. It's kind of like medications used more like a placebo. They feel like if you don't leave with a medication, you're going to write a bad review of the doctor because they have reviews online like ZocDoc.
Yeah, they got a pill for everything. And if you were to watch television in America, you're hard pressed to watch any program without a commercial break, including some kind of medication. There's a medication for absolutely everything, and you don't need it, really, frankly.
Yeah, they kind of sell you the idea that if you don't have the medication, you don't have a good quality of life.
Yeah.
When I moved here, I had 4 different medications I was on. I don't have any medications anymore. None of them were necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds terrible. I don't know who, but the big pharma is talking you into using stuff that you actually don't need, and you pay for it with your credit card with a large interest on it. Oh, you're gonna love corporate America.
But they do kind of do that as like a way of calming the patient, making them feel like they have been treated. In the U.S., so you end up with a lot of expensive medications, even with insurance. Our medications were about $500 a month.
Never. That won't happen over here in the Netherlands or in Europe. No. You get your medication, there is medication, and if you need medication, most of the time it's for free. Yeah, most of the time. Let's say 90 to 95% of your medication is for free.
Also, that fear of anything that's wrong with you, I have to go see my doctor right away. Now, that whole joke about in the Netherlands, if something horrible happens to you, they tell you to take paracetamol. There's
Take
a
2
truth.
paracetamol and go to bed.
Yeah, there's a truth to that, but it's also sort of that like we were talking about before. That's calm down.
Yeah.
It's not really an emergency. Get some perspective here. You know, it's like if you have a trauma injury, yes, you go to the
and it's not to
room.
dim the fact that people are going to have emergencies. You're going to have illnesses, but many times it's curable with just
to have some rest and get a good night's sleep. Yeah, and paracetamol will help you get a good night's sleep.
aspirin and rest.
There's this strange dichotomy in America where most people cannot afford health insurance. Most people cannot afford health care, but you're told you should go to the health care professional for everything. So,
yeah, that's what I just said a couple of minutes ago. That's contradictory. It doesn't feel right.
here we're learning much more that I'm not gonna sweat it. They also do a great thing here. So when we first moved here, I got information that I was a candidate for a colon cancer screen. I was a candidate for breast cancer screen, for cervical cancer, and they'll send you a self-help kit or a self-care kit, and then they'll share the results with your doctor. They'll tell you if you need to go to the doctor, and the doctor will follow up with you. But that kind of thing is very proactive, and it's not something that you get in the U.S. unless you're paying for insurance, you're going to your doctor regularly, and then they make these appointments for you.
Yeah, I got this screen for colon cancer shortly after we moved here. And what is this? This is something that was so strange to me, but it's something that's done on a national basis here. And I think it's fantastic because a lot of people won't be proactive to get that kind of thing checked out. They send you the kit for self-examination, and they'll contact you if there's a problem.
Yeah, so it's not that they're not proactive about medical care here.
Yeah.
It's just that things like this that are treatable cancers that are more prevalent, they help the general population with those.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you stub your toe, take a paracetamol. If you have a migraine, take a paracetamol with caffeine.
It's a wonder drug.
Yeah, it's like unless it's really adversely affecting your quality of life, or it is a red flag for a major medical problem, we're learning to just sort of go with it.
Yeah.
You know, even like,
Yeah, she's right. And what I want to talk about, she was thinking, I forget about it. Or
like my ADHD, I don't take ADHD meds.
yeah, about those proactive. It's also because you get this proactive test kits you send in, and if there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. And if something is wrong, then they can intervene. It's to drop down in medication cost, in healthcare cost, because if people are treated earlier in their disease, it's less costly for the health insurance companies and for the government than they have to be treated after a couple of weeks or months or maybe a year. Then it's more costly. So it's also cost efficient, better for healthcare, better for the healthcare cost, which meant that there is a lower cost of insurance premium. That's also a thought. We don't go to the doctor when it's absolutely necessary, because it rises the price of the costs of medical care, and rising cost of medical care means higher insurance premium. So it's beneficial for everyone to do this.
Meds anymore. I was taking the medication and it had all kinds of adverse side effects, including hypertension. And I kept doing this because they said, oh, ADHD, got to take a med, here you go. If I'm not on medication, the worst that can happen is I might interrupt you when I'm talking to you. Or when you're talking to me, I might interrupt you. That's like the worst thing that'll happen. So I don't need expensive medication that's going to give me hypertension for that.
Bottom line, we're not preoccupied with our health anymore. You know, it's like over here, it's like relax. So everything's fine. That's basically the message.
Yeah. It's fine until it's not fine. Then we will react. But until that moment, don't worry.
Another habit that we got rid of is feeling that we need security 24/7. You know,
obsession with security. Okay. So, let her explain first before I react.
Ring bells, security cameras, inside security cameras. We had cameras in our house. We had cameras when you walked in the door, camera outside the door, camera on, the front of the house, the back of the house, by the fire escape.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
You don't need to worry about security so much. So,
and also the having to keep your drapes shut. You can't have someone see the inside of your house. Can't have someone see you eating dinner. Here there's more of this Calvinistic attitude that you just put it all out there because I've got nothing to hide. So we don't own drapes anymore.
Okay. A better sense of safety over here in the Netherlands and in Europe in general. Yeah. If you have a decent door and door lock, and most houses do have a good door and a door lock and good windows, then you're safe. It's it's not like in the United States that everybody has a gun aiming for you when you move to your house and want to break into your house and steal all your stuff, or take you or one of your loved ones hostage and so.
We have in our bedroom, because our neighbors can see into our bedroom, we have what a lot of Dutch have, which is just the privacy film that goes on the bottom part of the room, but I don't close anything. I don't change in the bathroom so they can't see me. I just change.
Basically,
but we have drapes or curtains, not for privacy, but because it's for the sphere. It's not the sphere. It's for the ambience. It's the right word. It's the ambience. You have some curtains. You look behind me. There are some curtains. They are closed. It's keeping the house warm, because curtains prevent that warm leaving through the windows. So it's not because of security or a sense of feeling safe. It has something to do with in this case of having an extra insulation between the window and the inside room, and to have it dark when you really need to be dark. And sometimes I do need to.
We don't live in a veil of secrecy, or we're trying to stay as private as possible. There's people are fearful in the States. There's a lot to be afraid of at this point in time there. Here, there's not so much. We see kids playing by themselves outside, and that's something you don't see very much. By themselves without parental supervision. People are much more chill about that here. They're not as fearful of being a victim of crime as they were in the States.
Yeah, I remember we lived in a town where there were a lot of fireworks, and you'd hear a firework, and we thought it was a gunshot for a while there, because that's what we were used to. You didn't hear a bang like that in the U.S. unless someone was firing a gun. You don't have to worry so much about security, personal security. Yeah, you got
In the Netherlands, okay, yeah.
to keep your wits about you. It's not like crime doesn't happen here. It's not like violent crime doesn't happen here.
It
Much
happens.
lower statistically than the U.S. But, you do have to still have your spider sense about you and that kind of thing. And so I've learned to sort of calm down that part of my brain.
Yeah. And I think, whenever a violent crime does happen here, it's major news. That's one thing I've noticed. In the States, you're sort of numb to it because it happens all the time. It's national news here, when there's a murder or something that happens. And it's very rare, few and far between instances that you hear about.
Yeah, it's always major news. If something happens that it's really, really violent crimes, we had recently, and it was a lot of commotion all over the news in the Netherlands, also social media, etc. The police shot a 15-year-old kid who has stolen a bike. It's really strange happening, but that was the first time that I have heard that the police shot a kid, a 15-year-old kid, dead. Was the first time, but it was major news. Yeah.
But the opposite is, ironically, as much as the U.S. values security, and unfortunately necessarily so, values security, and ironically, as much as the U.S. values security, and unfortunately necessarily so, it does not value privacy so much.
Yeah.
And that
Okay. Yeah.
that was something I learned to appreciate here. So there's this dichotomy that, I don't have to worry so much about security, but I'm very, very much protective of my privacy. And I'm not talking about keeping the drapes shut. I'm talking about things like when you go out to eat in the U.S., at the end of the meal, you give the server your credit card and they leave with it. And they're going to go run it. But I've also had a few times where a server misused the card and I had money stolen out of my account.
Oh, wow. This happens? Oh.
This happens a lot. My debit
card is what I mean.
Had to be canceled at least 3 times in the past 2 years when we lived in New York because it had been compromised somehow.
Here, I've gotten so used to, in the U.S., if you go for a coffee, you can tap your card on the terminal, that kind of thing, keep possession of it. But there are circumstances in the U.S. where you don't. One is running a tab. When we first moved here and went to a bar, we tried to hand them our credit card and say, here, can you keep it open for a tab? And they're like, why do I want your card?
Yeah.
Oh, and I keep saying credit card. It's like
they look at you like you have 2 heads. Like, well, we don't want your card. Why you? Yeah.
And I keep saying credit card. And in the U.S., they say credit card or card.
Yeah.
For credit card, debit card, gift card, it's all the same. You just give them whichever card you want.
Yeah, okay.
So I hope I'm not causing confusion by constantly saying credit card because I'm talking about debit card. We don't have credit cards here. We have a debit card. After 2 years of being here, I went to an Irish pub. They asked for my card.
Yeah.
To go, and he started to walk, and I thought, okay, he's going to like run it to start, on his scanner. No, he took it from me, just like they do in the U.S. And I was like, I don't want you taking my card, but I was just like, do I trust? Do I give it to him? Because
that's not according to the rules. So I didn't know where she went to, but that's not according to the rules. Most of the time, it's advised, and most people do not give away their debit card or credit card. It's in your hands all the time. You go to the paying machine, there you tap and pay whatever you need to pay, and then it never leaves your possession, never. If you do, then it's your own fault. It's not the way it should be done, and they can't refuse you anything. If you don't want to pay, you do pay, but you're not going to hand over your cards. They cannot. It's usual.
It just doesn't happen here. They don't walk away with your card here.
No.
So, there's this sense of privacy. Also at work. Like, it was nothing for your bosses to check your internet search history, what you had open on your desktop. Yeah. There was, during COVID, this sense that we have to be able to monitor and control our employees. A lot of companies even had things hooked up so they could see if you were using your mouse.
Yeah, so you were a commodity, and they owned you while you were working, so they could do whatever it is they want.
And I now would have major reverse culture shock if I ever went back to the U.S. now and experienced that invasion because of my privacy, because it just doesn't happen.
It's policy over there, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't fly here. That won't fly here. No. Spy software, it's called spy software. Spy software installed on your corporate PC? No. No. They can ask you to get by remote desktop into the server, and there you work, and they can see if somebody's logged in or not. But looking at your screen or looking at your mouse, if you ever no, that doesn't happen here.
So yeah, we've definitely changed our attitudes both towards security and privacy. So those are the 5 habits that we've shed. Hopefully,
and those are the bigger ones. She actually talked about the bigger ones. These are, I guess, the biggest differences between living in the United States and living in Europe, or in this case, the Netherlands. It really are. These are the 5 big ones.
We have a few more bad habits we're going to shed in the future, because I can think of a few.
Probably more that we haven't mentioned, but these are the biggies.
So
these are actually the biggies. Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if there's anything that surprised you, or if a lot of great comments that we've received so far, and people letting us know their viewpoint, because obviously, we're talking generalities here, and the world is made up of individuals. So we'd love to hear your viewpoint too.
Yeah, and if you've been to the U.S. as a Dutch person and you've experienced things that we didn't talk about here, differences and habits and whatever, let us know, please.
But thanks so much for joining us again. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Good video. A lot of interesting stuff. I learned again today some stuff about about the drugs and oh man, and debit cards. There are credit cards that the interest rates are so high that you never get rid of your actually debt. That won't fly over here. That's really nothing. And then the drugs. Giving someone medicine that he or she doesn't need just to make profit of it. That's the general idea. Oh, man. Okay, that doesn't work here. But if you like, then press like. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, then maybe this is a good place to start with. And otherwise, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button so we can get up to the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you in advance, and thank you for watching.